Hi there. I've decided to go with a scripted video today because, well, I've made several attempts, and this is the rambly bit. I've made several attempts lately to shoot a video. One was going to be on these super expensive, super fast, ultra sharp, wonderful lenses that are super de duper. One of my viewers asked about that. And I did a lot of research on it, but I felt that it's a topic that has been covered very well by some other reviewers who actually have had their hands on these lenses, which I haven't. They're way out of my price bracket. I mean, I can't afford lenses of that quality. But the takeaway I got from the research that I did was just that some companies like Leica, for instance, build lenses that where there is a certain character that at least one YouTuber describes as micro contrast that gives their lenses something a little special. And there are other lenses out there that also have it. However, some of these new ultra sharp lenses, it's all about the sharpness, and you don't get that certain character that may be important. Now, if that sounds extremely non-committal, it's because I am extremely non-committal on this. All I can say with any certainty at all is that I can't afford them anyway, so I might as well move on. The scripted part of my video. It seems that I ramble on about many topics here, okay? But all too often it returns to the same gear discussions over and over. It's most important to have something to say. And often it's worth saying it. Well, if it's worth saying, it's worth repeating it. I've been pushing the idea that what we do, not what we own, that defines us as photographers. I mean, the fact is that there are photographers and there are snap shooters. The world is full of snap shooters. They're the people who have their phones out all the time. They're snapping and everything. Their images have significance, but only to a certain inner circle. Their images have significance only because they appeal to their friends and acquaintances and so on. That's the snap shooter. The photographer, hopefully an amateur photographer in particular, because remember the word amateur does mean for the love of it, so an amateur photographer in particular should be striving for something a little more than that. It may not necessarily be telling a story, but it should get across a feeling, something more than just a record of where you were. Well, enough about that. My current goal, as I have outlined in previous videos, is to simplify, and in doing so I have spent quite a bit of time using one camera with one lens. That doesn't mean I'm always using the same camera or the same lens. It just means that when I go out with a camera now, I am more likely to simply take one lens. Now, a perfect example of where that worked was recently I attended a First Nations powwow at the Elsipogtog First Nation here in New Brunswick. It was an opportunity for me. I had not been to an event like this before. However, I hadn't planned to go. And a friend of mine basically messaged me and said, well, I'm going. You want me to pick you up? So I went. Now, here's the situation. I was at our weekend getaway. Basically, it's just a trailer parked at a trailer park by a beach. Beautiful spot, great way to unwind at the end of the week. So, did I bring a lot of camera gear with me? No, I didn't. All I had was my old EP2, the 17mm f2.8 Olympus lens, and the body cap fisheye lens. Now, tossed in the car was an old Nikon L810 point and shoot. Now, that's one of those, I hesitate to call it a super zoom, because this truly is a point and shoot camera with a big zoom lens. It doesn't have any of the manual features and things that we would associate with a bridge camera. It was a very, very simple camera, but it does have a long reach. That's all I had. So I said, well, why not? At least I'll go get to see it. When I arrived, other members of the camera club were there with various equipment, most of which was, you know, their best stuff to do the best they could. And I'm there with this limited equipment. Now, I tried borrowing a longer lens, but I found that a 75 to 300 on an Olympus is a very long lens. We are talking about 150 to 600 in full frame terms. So it's not something that's usable unless you really have lots of room. So that didn't work out. Finally, I stuck on the Fisheye, which is a very simple, I think it's a 5-element lens. It's got a fixed f8 aperture. It's basically zone focused. You set it at hyperfocal or infinity, or you can focus in close. But basically, you put it on hyperfocal, you go see what you can get. And I found that what I was doing was reaching in over the top of the drumming group. Now, in this particular First Nation, there is one drum in the middle, and the drummers sit around the drum with their sticks to beat the drum. So when I went over like this, I got a perfect shot of the drummers and the drum. Finding that I could get something different. Now, not that it was a technically great image, but I was getting something different, because by having such modest equipment, I'm forced to think a lot more about what I'm doing in order to be able to do something that I felt would be interesting. So it actually sort of worked in my favor. And that's what it comes down to. In future, am I going to purposefully do this? Of course not. Anyhow, I don't have much more to say. I know that among the cameras that I have, like for instance, I mentioned here the fact that I have my old Sony Minolta gear because of the Maxim lenses that I've had for a very long time. That having an old 10 megapixel CCD Sony, what I was doing was documenting life at the beach. And I will be putting that together into a little presentation for my friends at the beach. A few of the images I'll share here, but some of them are more personal images because they are just for friends and family. And that's something everybody needs to realize, that there is still that place, that very important place for personal photographic work that is not necessarily to be shared with the public, but only with those people who are directly involved. I'm going to see another presentation on street photography. This one is actually an exposition of photographs, and it is an area that, although I haven't done much with, I am very interested in. Alright, I started off this video talking about how I tend to ramble too much in my videos, and so I gave myself a script. Most of the time, though, I was still off script. Well, guys, that's about it for now. I really enjoyed the powwow. You may have noticed that I've included some of the images from it. Take every opportunity you can to shoot something different. And if you like this video, please give me a like. If you want to see more of my videos, then please subscribe. And of course, if you think there's anybody who may need to get a little something from this video, then share it. Bye for now.